Hello, welcome to day 2 of our series, and I am so excited for today. I'm sorry. See, I get too excited. I just didn't skip the other piece of it. Um, Welcome to our series of taking action in your life and the courage to do that. Today is going to be a really special day. And my guest today, if you've seen the banners and things announcing for today, is about a topic that could be really uncomfortable. But when you meet this woman, you will see how very special she is.
Welcome back to Coffee with Kim. We are on day 2 of this week's series, The Courage to Take Action in Your Life. Today, coming from Las Vegas, Nevada, is Brenda Marquez. Brenda is a speaker, entrepreneur, and a new mom who works in the insurance industry. In addition, she is a community leader advocating for individuals of domestic violence. Brenda is a woman of faith with a servant heart, which inspired her to start a nonprofit, Survivor Spirit. Survivor Spirit exists to assist other organizations that support victims of domestic violence with education, resources, and a voice to be heard and then loved back into empowerment. Join me in welcoming Brenda to Coffee with Kim.
Yay!
Hi.
See, I get a little bit too excited before we went on, and all of a sudden I was just skipping to all the stuff. But I really, Brenda, you and I connected a couple months ago at a women's event, correct?
Yeah, it was just a couple months ago, right before our fundraising event.
Yeah, and you had just had a new little one.
I think he was probably like a month old at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And I got excited because, as doing what I do as well, right? There's lots of things that I do just like you. And one of that is with one of my brands, is helping nonprofits. And when you said that's something that you do as well, it was just a beautiful marriage. And that's why I was so excited to have you on here. Um, so when we start these shows, like I told you, we are going to have people get to know a little bit about who you are as a person and a little bit about what you're starting. And then we're going to get in the conversation all about, how this all came about.
Yeah, of course. Well, first, thank you for having me. And it was such a blessing and no coincidence that we met, of course. When we met, I've been an advocate for women and families coming out of domestic violence for more than 10 years now. It's a passion that has just been sewed into me since I was like 19. And it's funny because I've always been so passionate and outspoken about it. It's a touchy subject, like you mentioned in the introduction, but I find that it's very important to talk about. And I'm not shy to talk about it and make the room a little bit uncomfortable. And people assume that I've been through domestic violence myself personally, which I'm going to share with you that I haven't. Um, and the way that I was introduced to it was actually in 5th grade, which only goes to show how powerful teachers can be in a child's life. My 5th grade teacher is the one that introduced me to Safeness, which is a nonprofit here in Nevada that is dedicated to helping families transition from, um, you know, toxic homes into, a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
And we did this Thanksgiving play for the children in the shelter. And that's how I learned about Safeness and what they do there. And since 5th grade, I told myself, I admired my teacher so much. So I wanted to be just like her. And I told myself, when I'm old enough, I'm going to do what I can and volunteer at that shelter. So as soon as I was old enough, I signed up with Safeness, and I've been a volunteer with them since.
Wow.
And Miss, if you're out there, I love you.
What's that?
Miss Roca was the teacher's name.
Oh, that is,
Yeah. So
I had teachers, my dad was a teacher, and I taught as a full-time substitute teacher for 7 years in Texas. And I know firsthand, right, the importance, like you said. And I
yeah,
think teachers, there's all kinds of teachers out there, but the ones that really love what they're doing and impact children's lives. My daughter, two daughter-in-laws, one's a first grade teacher and one's a middle grade, eighth grade science teacher.
yeah.
And these kids are, I know firsthand, are so, so blessed to have these women in their lives, because I know how blessed our family is. And so kudos to teachers out there.
Absolutely. It takes a special type of person to work with children and be impactful in their lives.
Yeah. Do you want to
Um,
start? Do you want to start with the stats and then kind of go into some of your experiences so people really get educated first?
yeah, absolutely. We can start with the stats.
Okay.
Um, mhm.
So
Yeah,
based on
so
reports right here from 10 countries, between 55% and 95% of women who have been physically abused by their partners have never contacted non-governmental organizations, shelters, or the police for help. Help us understand this a little bit.
mhm. Well, I believe it's about 7 times that a woman or a significant other will be abused before they actually reach out for help. And sometimes they don't get to that seventh call, right, or that seventh time,
Mhm.
unfortunately. And so that's why we felt it was important to give that avenue like a voice. Anyone who's being shut down and feels like they don't matter, it doesn't have to be the seventh time. They can reach out the first time.
Yeah. But I think, don't you think the first time they're in such shock that it even happened that they don't know what to do?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. There's shock, there is shame, which is a big thing. Um, and there's no education, I would say, as to what resources are available, because there's resources for both parties, right? There's resources for the victim and the abuser. I know Safeness, they offer counseling for both parties,
Wow.
because their mission is not to just help the victim, it's to stop the cycle. And that starts with the abuser as well.
Wow. That's amazing. And then the next stat is here. I'll let you read this one. Can you see it from where you are?
Yeah, so studies suggest that up to 10 million children witness some form of domestic violence annually. And that could be, it's not always physical. There's emotional, right? There's mental abuse. There's financial abuse as well, where the mother has to stay home. Um, and there's isolation where they're not allowed to have friends because their friends are bad influences. So it can be that type of abuse as well, where it's name calling, where the child is in the room where there's arguments that are not appropriate.
Hmm.
um, and it's also a lot of my time during my volunteer work was with children. um,
Really?
yeah, and it wasn't necessarily counseling, because there's training for that has to be done. It was just sitting in a room and reminding them that that they're still children, that they're still good, and just playing with them. And you can tell when a child has seen too much. um, and that's also another focus that Safeness has, is to have that counseling for the child to have a better foundation for when they're adults
Hmm.
transition.
It sounds like Safe Nest has, you saw it in fifth grade. So it seems like, they're pretty good about bringing it into the schools to help educate.
Yes, yeah, they have an outreach program, because again, their mission is to break the cycle, right?
Hmm.
And because a lot of the children are witnessing it, um, it becomes natural, right? That toxic energy and that loud, when they're yelling, but it's just natural to be loud in their house. It becomes normal.
Yeah.
And when they're going into that dating phase, they're drawn to that type of relationship where it's not healthy. So they do have an outreach program that goes into the schools and educates the teenagers about, healthy dating and signs of unhealthy dating.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
That's another subject all in itself. So there's
Yeah, absolutely.
wow. I no, I mean, I've heard of that. I've seen some of that, myself.
Hmm.
And it can be, uncomfortable, it can be scary. Um, and having that support system, right? Like you said,
Right.
as a volunteer, it sounds to me like you're more of the support system to encourage them and remind them.
Exactly. Yes.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Can you share, without saying names, some of the stories or experiences, that you can give some life to, that, people, as they, watch this, even
Yeah.
months or years down the road, right, on our YouTube channel or on Facebook, and they're like, this comes up at the right time at the right place.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite stories from working with the children actually was this little girl that came in. She must have been 9, maybe. And children take on different traits, right, when they're transitioning because it's a whole new place that's not theirs. It doesn't have their pillow, their toys, So it can take different forms. They can be angry, they can be isolated. Um, and this little girl, she was very isolated. She didn't want to talk to anyone. She didn't want to play. She wasn't interested in any toy. So my mission was, to remind her, that it's okay, you can still have fun. Like mom has to do things right now for you. So what I did was the first day that I was able to sit with her is I just brought out a puzzle and just started doing the puzzle, and I was like, hey, can you help me find this color? And she handed it to me without saying anything, and then I just kept going, and slowly she kind of like found interest in it. And
Mhm.
by the end of that day she was like helping me but still not speaking, which was fine, but she was interacting a little. And by the end of that week, she started playing with the other kids, and she started, talking more. And that's just like a little story of how, people can adjust and grow in small ways. And it's just taking that first, step. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's my favorite story just because it was such a small, like, little thing to start with, but it allowed her to open up and be more comfortable and, actually communicating more with the counselors that were there to help her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about survivor spirit.
Mhm.
I know you said, you grew up with this and you wanted to do something, and you talk about kind of how that whole process was. Was it a difficult process? If someone out there's like, I want to do a nonprofit, and yours isn't necessarily one that raises the money, you are bringing awareness to the other ones. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you. Yes, absolutely. It was a little bit difficult just because of the timing. Um, the idea came from a wine bottle originally. So it was this is the third fundraising event that we posted for Safeness, just because I've held it so dear in my heart. Um, and last year we were gonna do an event for them again, but because of COVID, we had to do a complete stop on it. So this year, now that it reopened, we, revisited the idea, but we had a like twist on it because of COVID again.
Yeah.
And so I was in my office, and it was a new office, and I invited my friend over. We had a bottle of wine, and the next day I went back into my office and I saw this empty bottle of wine. I was like, oh, I'm gonna save it as like the first, and then it clicked, like people love wine and they love to save it. And, sometimes it's meaningful, sometimes it's just a beautiful bottle. So from that, it just grew into this idea of making a wine to honor survivors of domestic violence. And I've been very fortunate to cross paths with amazing people like yourself. It's no
Oh,
coincidence at all. And prior to that, I had run into Jessica, who's done other fundraising events for Red Cross, for Patty's Closet. And so that's kind of where our mindset was like, for us to use what we have, for other organizations that are already like the foot soldiers, right? They're already in action and already helping those in need. So we
mhm.
would just come in and assist them to bring awareness to, help them with funding if they need it. So we created our Survivor Spirit wine, to celebrate, triumph over tribulation. And the idea is, to celebrate survivors. This year, again, we dedicated it to survivors of domestic violence because it's dear to my heart. But, there are other members in our organization that have other missions in their life. So it's not necessarily just for domestic violence. This year it was. But next year, we might dedicate the fundraiser to survivors of breast cancer, of alcohol abuse, of trafficking. There's so many things to celebrate. So we're just open to help out wherever we can.
Yeah, I love that you use celebrate because that's what I use here, right? To celebrate you and the guests that I bring on and what you do to the world. So I love that we are so aligned
Yeah.
um, in that. So you are supporting other organizations. Now, we were talking too that you also reach out to other organizations to help them in other ways too. Is that correct? Or was I with like their fund, with them raising funds or becoming a nonprofit or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, the organizations that we have spoken to, they're already established.
Okay.
Um, Organizations, but through us having to do it ourselves, I mean, we're happy to help if that's what they're in need of. We have a really amazing team. Like I said, super blessed to meet the people that I met. um, Darren Robinson is, our web designer. And, if that's something that you need, we're happy to help with that as well. If you need more education on your financing for your fundraiser, we have someone that can help you there as well. Danae is an expert at financing, and that's something that, can be a resource if that's something that the organization needs.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I'm going to switch gears a little bit again. COVID, the reason why I thought about this is you mentioned COVID. Um, has that increased? I mean, as you're working with SafeNet and these other groups on domestic violence, I mean, I've heard that's increased during COVID.
Domestic violence,
Hmm.
yes, it has increased. Uh, I mean, it comes with everything else that came with that pandemic, right? Having to stay home, the finances being a little bit tighter, causing more friction between household members, the kids being at home all day. It's different stress points that can cause an already toxic environment to just progress. So it has affected families. Thankfully, Safeness, they never close their doors down, and they just work through that whole season of being shut down. And they never rejected anyone. They kept pushing through, still filing court documents, and helping families in all avenues of transition.
Wow, that is so amazing. If how do well, people are watching right now and in the future, what are some things that they should be watching for if someone's saying, "Oh, I don't have that going on in my home." What are some of the top things they should be looking for, and what are the top things that they can do?
For themselves or
Hmm.
for themselves, I think it's important to really look within. right? Because it can bring shame, but you have to put that pride aside. So just look out for yourself, right? What I mean by this, like, if you're going through a toxic relationship, you have to be aware of it yourself, right? Be emotionally intelligent to accept where you are. We can't always put the brave face on, and don't be prideful of reaching out for help because you're not alone. I mean, there are so many women in different um, lifestyles that go through it. It's not just people in certain areas of the world or in certain financial, places in life that go through it. Everyone, there's no discrimination in domestic violence. So I
That's a
would say,
really good point. I think that's a really good point.
yeah. So just be aware of yourself, of what you want the relationship to look like, and just don't be prideful of reaching out for help because everyone is can be subject to it.
Is Safeness just in Nevada, or are there other? Is it that's more global? Global or wide reaching?
They are only in Nevada, but there are resources everywhere. In every state, there are resources. But yeah, Safeness is only in Nevada. They started in 1974, I think.
Wow, that's a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah, and it was with two women and one phone in the garage.
Don't you just love hearing those stories of people and they just how they start and they just start, and that's, to me, that's the courage, right? And the
Yes,
taking action. Like you, right? You started just by learning about it and you never gave up. You just kept going, and one foot in front of the other kept leading to another. And it
mm,
doesn't have to be all perfect, right? And you said it wasn't easy getting it at the time of your life, but you were persistent. You persevered.
right. Yeah, yeah. It's just allowing your passion to lead you. I think
Yeah.
not giving up on that. And just having the right people as well, I think is very important, because sometimes you want to give up,
You do,
Um,
right?
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes you're like, oh, maybe this isn't for me. But, um, you know, I don't know if people who are listening are spiritual or, but for me, um, I find strength in God, and I feel very blessed that He trusted me with this passion. This passion, whatever passion you have, it's from, for me, it's from God. For whoever's listening, it could be from the universe or
Or
whoever,
the higher your higher self or whatever, right? It's what speaks through you or to you.
Exactly. So I'm just, a vessel, and, I'm just trying to live out that goal that God has for me is all I'm trying to
Yeah.
do.
Oh, I love that. Oh my goodness. And so, is there, what else are some things maybe that we haven't thought of, or do you want to tell them how to get in touch with you? I want to make sure that anything maybe I didn't spur or say, that you are like, oh my gosh, I want to make sure we cover this.
Yeah. I mean, Survivor Spirit, we're basically just a community of leaders that felt that pull to help other organizations in their mission. So if you are in an organization that needs help in a certain area or just wants to have more light shining on your mission, please reach out to us. We have a great team, and we have great resources to help you. Um, and we're happy to do that. That's what we came together for. And, they can reach us by email, through Instagram.
Okay, we're going to start popping these in.
That's
So,
our email.
okay, right here.
info@survivorspirit.org. Like I said, if you are an organization or you want to start an organization, you need help, you need that encouragement. It wasn't easy to because the idea was in my head, right? And I had to bring it out and explain it to my team and convey it to them, and they saw the same vision that I did. And sometimes that's even hard to do, is to have your vision and have someone else believe in it as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And the next one we have, that is your website.
Yes, so that's our website. You guys can reach out to us through there as well, and you can see our event, our Survivor Spirit wine that we have, and you, like I said, you can reach us through there too, and take a look at our website. Again, our web designer Darren Robinson did an amazing job. If that's something you need help with, let us know.
Wow, and I'm in the middle of that myself right now, so I totally get it. Okay, you're on Instagram as well.
Yes, we are on Instagram. That's another avenue to be reached too. We're also on Facebook. It's the same handle for Facebook and Instagram.
Oh, Facebook. Oh, that's right. We didn't get that one in there. I was thinking about that one myself. Yeah, definitely Facebook. And this is how to get in touch with you, because being on here, I know you inspired some people and they're like, oh my gosh, I think she's amazing. I want to talk to her. So this is how they can reach you too as well.
Yes. Yep. You guys can reach me there as well. And I would love to, have a conversation with you and your mission and how we can, be a vessel for you as well.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. As we're wrapping up, I pulled this. It was in the promo reel, but it really touched me. And I wanted to just pull this up one more time. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. And I love that. Why did you choose that one?
It's a powerful statement. We all go through things. We all go through things at different times in our life. And, sometimes we can dwell in it, or, we can take action. And that's what, we're doing, is we're just bringing light into people that took action and celebrating that. Because, life is not promised to be easy, right?
No.
We know that, even if you are a spiritual person or not, we know that we are going to go through things, but we're going to go through things. We're going to get through it.
And you're going to get to the other side. You may not feel like it, but we always do. And
exactly.
I love that, because that's why I thought it was so perfect to have you on this week, because not only did you have the courage, right, and the determination, the perseverance to start working with, and creating, oh my goodness, yeah, and then having the people that you're helping to serve, right, the survivor spirit, but have the people that are also choosing not to have that violence in their life, right? The courage that they have and taking action. So I just thought it was such a beautiful twofold thing. So I appreciate you being on here.
No, thank you for having me. And I appreciate what you're doing as well, bringing all your speakers in and giving them a platform to speak to your audience.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because that is definitely, I'm almost 1 year in and almost at 100 videos on the YouTube and on the channel. And I have learned so much. I think almost I get more out of it, than anybody else. And Oprah says that, Larry King said that when he was on, and I really do. It's an honor.
That's amazing. I'm happy. Congratulations.
Thanks.
That first year is tough, so definitely a milestone to celebrate.
Yeah, definitely we'll be celebrating next month, and we'll be inviting everyone that wants to come back on. So it'll be a really fun time. So thank you for being part of that. All right. Anything else? I just want to run through really quick how to get a hold of you again. Here's her email, the website, Instagram, and Brenda's personal Instagram. Thank you for having the courage to have survivor spirit.
Thank you. You guys take care.
All right. Everyone, what a great show today. I hope you got some education. I hope you were inspired by Brenda and what she has done in, having the courage to take action in your life. So everyone, tomorrow is another day of another guest. I hope you tune in, and we will see you soon.